Now we are going to talk about division. Okay. And before we get into the algorithms, let's talk about some of the names. So first of all, when you have a division, when you have the first number divided by the second number, well, you get your answer, right? And I would say sometimes you get some leftovers. So sometimes with leftovers. The first number in the division is called the dividend. The second number is called the divisor. The answer in the division question is called the quotient. And the leftovers are called the remainders. With remainders. And then the usual algorithms that we will use for division is called the long division. Long division. So let's see how does that look like. First of all, you will draw the long division symbol like this. And you always put the first number inside, regardless if it's a big number or a smaller number compared to the second one. You always put the first number inside. So, put the first number inside. And you put the second number outside. Oops, second number outside. And you pretty much just work this out, right? And the top is where the answer is going to be. So I have answer that's going to be on the top. And just do your calculations right here. And let me make a note right here. During the process of division, you always subtract. And then which number you subtract, and at the end, you get the leftovers right here. Leftovers. And that's the basic setup for long division. Okay, this is the basic setup for long division. And let me go through some of the questions. Let's talk about question number 1. Example number 1. I would like to do example number 1. 98 divided by 7. To divide by 98, to do 98 divided by 7, well, let's use the long division. 98 comes first, so you put a 98 inside of the division symbol. So you have 98 goes inside. And the second number, the 7, that goes outside. And notice how 7 only has 1 digit and 98 has 2. And what we're going to do is compare the first digits only. So 7 and 9, ask yourself, how many times does 7 goes into 9? Once. So I'll put down the 1 right here. 1 times 7, you get 7. Subtract. Right? During the process, you always subtract. Subtract. I have 9 minus 7. I get 2. And then you bring down the 8. You bring down the 8. And here we are looking at 7 and 28. 7 goes into 28 4 times. Exactly 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. And again, you subtract 28 minus 28, you get 0. So, 98 divided by 7, the answer is equal to 14. Or, that's the quotient. The quotient of 98 and 7. The quotient of 98 divided by 7 is equal to 14. And the remainder right here, it's equal to 0. And when the remainder is equal to 0, you don't need to write down the remainder is equal to 0, and you don't need to do anything else. And that's it for divisions. Okay? Example number 2. Let's do a 3-digit number, 589 divided by 19. Again, long division, because I want to figure out how many times does 19 goes into 589. And well, that's not on the multiplication table, so you can just do in one steps. We will use the long division algorithms to do that. So 589 is the first number. You put that inside. 598. And you put a 19 outside. Notice how 19 has 2 digits, and I'm just going to look at the first 2 digits of 589. Okay? So, let's see. How many times does 19 goes into 58? Well, it's kind of hard, so you have to kind of think about it. The way that I like to do this kind of question is I compare the first digits only. So I have the first digit is 1, and the first digit of 58 is 5. So I know it has to be about 5 or less, since I have a 9 right there. So I'm going to try a number that's less than 5. So I can go with 4. And I'm just going to put down 4 first. This is just my try. Okay, I'm just going to try if 4 will work. And I want to do 4 times 19. I will do that on the side. 4 times 19, or 19 times 4. Because multiplication doesn't matter, the order of multiplication doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which number you put it on the top. As we mentioned earlier, put a number that has more digits on the top, it's easier. 4 times 9 is 36, carry off the 3. 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So 4 times 19, you get 76, which is too much, right? This is bigger than 58. So we know that we have to go a little bit lower. However, that was just my try, right? I think this is one of the reasons that makes division more difficult than the others, because it's not guaranteed that you just get a right answer right away. You kind of have to actually just try some number out and then work out the problem to see if it actually works or not. Anyways, 589, 19 on the outside. Since 4 doesn't work, since 4 didn't work, so I'm going to try 3. Well, let's see, what's 3 times 19? Let me do this on the side. 19 times 3. 3 times 9 is 27, carry over the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, and then 3 plus 2 is 5. So 3 times 19, we get 57. And that's just enough, right? That's just about right. 58, and we're going to subtract 57, and we get 1. Bring down the 9. 19 goes into 19 exactly once, right? 1 times 19, you get 19. And when you subtract, you end up with 0. So again, the quotient is equal to 31. The answer is equal to 31. And you have no remainder. The remainder is 0. So you don't need to write that down. So we can say this is equal to 31. 589 divided by 19 is equal to 31. In another word, 19 goes into 589 exactly 13 times. And let me work out some other examples. Example number 3. We have 15 divided by 6. And notice this is exactly what we did for the donut questions earlier, right? In the previous video, we were doing 15 divided by 6. Anyways, let's put this into the long division. 15, it's the first number, you put that inside. 16 is the second number, you put that outside. So, 6 goes into 15 at most twice. 2 times 6, I get 12. And I'm going to subtract. 15 minus 12, I get 3. Right? So, right here, as we can see that 15 divided by 6, we get the quotient is equal to 2, and the remainder is equal to 3. And again, let me just emphasize that one more time. The 2 is called the quotient. The 3 is called the remainder. So in this case, 15 divided by 6, one way to answer this question is, you can say this is equal to 2 with remainder 3. So this is one way to answer this question. Okay, so if you want to figure out how many, what's the remainder, then you just do this and that's it. You don't do any further. And it depends on the situation. Right? For example, if you have 15 iPads and you want to share with 6 people, then everyone can get at most 2 iPads, but you will have 3 iPads that's left over that you cannot cut the iPads into half and then share with the 6 people, right? So that's it. That's it. Well, let's look at example 3, but we'll just start next to it. Let's see how can we do this in another way. So 15 inside, 6 outside. 6 goes into 15 twice. 2 times 6, we get 12. And then you subtract 15, subtract 12, you get 3. Right? Exactly what we did earlier. But what if I want to keep going? Right? Because the remainder is equal to 3. What if I want to keep going? How can we do that? Well, we're going to notice that. Let me put a note right here. Notice the number 15. This number can be written as 15.0. The 0 after the decimal point doesn't matter. Or you can also write this as 15.00. This is also equal to 15.00000. It doesn't matter how many zeros that you add after the decimal point. 15.00000. It's the same as just 15. We are going to use this idea here to help us continue work out this question. Okay, and as you can see that this is the beginning of learning decimal calculations. The beginning of the case that we are going to encounter decimal numbers. So I want to continue with this. I'm going to write 15 as 15.0. That way, this will allow me to bring down the 0 here. So I have 6 and 30. 6 goes into 30 5 times. 5 times 6, we get 30. And again, you subtract. 30 minus 30, you get 0. So as you can see, the remainder now is equal to 0. There's nothing else to do. That's it. And be really careful with the answer though. Right here, as you can see that we have 15.0. And for the quotient, for the answer part, you also need to line up with the decimal point. So you need to add the decimal point right here. Okay, let me make a note. Line up the decimal point. So the answer, the quotient is equal to 2.5. Another way to answer 15 divided by 6 is 2.5.